Up at the top position of GSL Crossfire. It's going to be oGsHyperdub.
Very experienced player.
There he is, adjusting his keyboard. It has to be in the right position.
Definitely.
Saw Flash play the other day. He actually uses a ruler to kind of measure out the monitor and the keyboard, make sure everything is in exactly the right place. Very important. I mean, if you practice with that, if anything's the least bit off, that can throw off your kind of mechanics, be hitting the wrong keys and everything. So it's good to take the time to make sure that you feel comfortable playing. If you have to worry about your keyboard and mouse, you're obviously not going to be able to play that well.
Yeah. Now, Hyperdub, this is, of course, a TVZ. Hyperdub is the Terran player, and I'm not sure if we're going to... Might eventually get it. Are we eventually going to get an announcement on...
Zoom in on Hyperdub.
On the other player?
Check out those headphones. Those are really cool.
Sometimes they skip the Street Fighter voice.
Maybe. We'll find out.
We'll see. Oh, wait.
There it is. There's our Blue Zerg player down at the bottom. He's not a plane. He is geometrically a... Come on.
ZeNEXLine.
There you go.
Line. All right. Well, didn't quite line up like I hoped.
Right.
But, you know, he actually looks a little bit like Choi. They have similar hair.
Indeed. Now, Line, he's actually been in the GSL before as well. He actually, if you remember, in GSL January, there was a player named Guardian. That was Line. He's changed his name since then.
Same guy.
Was eliminated actually by Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in that. But had to requalify since he got eliminated from Code A then, and requalified beating a relatively unknown player named Tasia.
Line, though, definitely no slouch.
Yeah, he's been to, I was talking to John earlier, and John was telling me that he's actually been to all of the qualifiers, and he's like gotten very far in all of them, and just hasn't quite made it until this season since being eliminated. So definitely a strong player if he's able to get far in the qualifiers over and over again. We do have pretty standard stuff here coming from both players. Hyperdub just dropping down a barracks at the front. He's actually walling in. Is going to put a factory right next to it.
Yeah, no, this is a pretty good map for Terran, too, because you can control those running lanes very, very well with siege tanks if you're careful. The big failing we've seen a lot of Terran players do on this map is they'll move out with that two base pressure with tanks and marines, and then they won't scout ahead and they'll siege up too late and lose to speed
Oh
advantage.
my
so
goodness,
that's
I
a big
have
thing.
seen Terrans lose to that so many times. I never understand why they don't send something out ahead, because if they just see it coming a little bit in advance and they hit siege mode, it saves the game for them.
Even
and
players like Nada.
Indeed, yeah.
Losing like that. So some of the very best. You know, that is the big danger for Terran on Crossfire, is that there's so many little up and down ramps as you travel around the map. It's kind of easy to forget to scout ahead on just one. And you know, the ramp you don't scout ahead in, that's the one that all the Zerglings and Banelings are hiding behind. That's how it is every single time.
This Factor is really, really anxious to land down on the reactor. It was just kind of hovering there above the barracks saying, come on, move out of the way, move out of the way. Starport going down in the background as well, and a tech lab on the barracks.
Yep.
So a couple of Hellions coming out, and very interesting. They're obviously going to be able to dispatch those Zerglings with a little bit of micro. I'm curious if we're going to see a drop with those Hellions or not, since he did make that Starport very quickly.
It could be. I mean, it certainly could be a Hellion drop. He may even be planning on doing some sort of Hellion expand, although he did get the Starport first, so that's a little bit odd for some sort of expand build. All right, Tech Lab on the Starport. Okay, so...
This really smells like a very specific, clean, planned build. It's something really that he has specifically in mind, is what it seems like. And the Hellions are going to run into the front here. A couple Queens are going to be able to send those Hellions packing. I'm not sure what a Hellion packs when it leaves for somewhere.
Probably a lot of gasoline to power its flamethrowers or something. Maybe some extra tires.
It's a good idea. Yeah. You know, I traveled to Ireland once.
Oh, really?
And I was there for a few months. I bought a car.
You bought a car in Ireland?
I bought a car in Ireland, and the guy that sold it to me said, oh, come back tomorrow for the spare tire. I said, okay. I went out sightseeing. I said, what could go wrong? The one day without a spare tire, I lost my tire, got popped. He's harassing with these Hellions in the meantime, which is far more important. Is he gonna get into the main? He does get past those Zerglings who ran off the ramp. Those Queens are gonna get off creep in a moment. He's doing tons of damage to these Zerglings. Might even get around and attack some drones. Zerglings gonna trap those Hellions, force them away.
One goes down. And nice job with the Speedlings handling those Hellions. There's Line frantically trying to keep from losing right now. He's got a good amount of Queens. The Hellions going back down to the neutral. No deciding to turning around.
Oh my gosh. He wants more.
Being so obnoxious, but I don't think they're really going to be able to cause any damage. Did he even lose a single drone from that?
He lost, I'm not sure if that's a drone carcass or a Zergling carcass.
I think that's a Zergling
Now, in the meantime, he's got a Banshee, and he's actually made a lot of queens to deal with the Hellions, so he's got a few queens for this Banshee. Coming here, Cloak is not upgrading, so that Banshee's probably not going to be able to do too much damage.
Yeah, you know, very interesting that he decided to pressure with Hellions first. I think he may have been trying to force Roaches, but instead he ended up just forcing a lot of queens early in the game.
Very good point. Because Roaches, obviously, somewhat completely useless against Banshees.
Yep, that's right. So instead, he forced the exact thing he did not want to face, which was lots of queens. So right now, Hyperdub, kind of a rough position, not really able to cause a lot of damage early on. And he's not expanding yet himself. Still no command center that I've seen coming out for Hyperdub.
Now, this is kind of interesting. No command center, but he's also...
nothing.
He's not spending all of his money at the moment. He might be saving up for that, but he has a lot of extra gas in there. A couple Banshees running around. A lot of Speedlings in play, but that's it.
No, he is getting siege mode. You can do a pretty powerful one-base timing push if you keep all your Banshees alive. So he may be trying to do something like that, but you know, not expanding at this point in the game. Very, very risky. There we do see the Baneling Nest and the Spire going up. A lot of Zerg players now waiting to get that Baneling Nest until after the Spire finishes. If you can control the game early on with Speedlings, there's really no reason not to.
Yeah.
Not bad there.
Banshees, I like this. You know, you've got the Banshees, you made them, you might as well control the map with them. Running around killing Zerglings at the towers, killing creep tumors with Comset, and actually they're going to engage the queens for just a moment. And they almost became kings because they got engaged to the queens, but ran away at the last moment.
Well, they wouldn't become kings until they married the queens.
That's true.
But now the Banshee pilot is female, so that brings up all other kinds of... And then there's like different species, so...
So that attack would not be legal in some states, I suppose. Zerglings running around. Now there's not really much of the way of Hellions on the map any longer, just Marines and a tank, some SCVs coming out. Hyperdub might be looking to attack here pretty soon. There is a Baneling Nest. Spire is about to finish. He's actually saved up enough for about 7 Mutalisks right now, and he's going to produce, in fact, all 7 of those as soon as his Spire finishes. Hyperdub moving across the map, though.
Those Mutas could be very, very good in helping clean up those Banshees if they get out of position. Looks like a couple Speedlings trying to cut off reinforcements. I love that by line. Looking very, very good. Hyperdub, if he can make this work, it's a very powerful push. But if it fails, he's basically all in right now.
Yeah, he's actually losing a lot of Zerglings randomly against the wall at the Terran's base right now. So he should be bringing those back to try and get a kind of a flank. Instead, half of his Zerglings died or got damaged. And in the meantime, Hyperdub gets to set up a free siege on the high ground. Here he comes in with some Zerglings, though, trying to take this out. Lots of Speedlings running by. Oh no, they were on move! They were on move instead of attack, and he didn't. Oh, half of his Zerglings going down uselessly.
Oh no!
And this completely opens it up for Hyperdub to take advantage of the situation.
That face said, "What did I just do?" Oh no, Line had the game. Wow. Those Mutalisks getting taken out by the Marines. This is hugely bad right now. Queen's getting hit by tanks. One misclick, that's all it takes in a game at this level to turn the tide. Wow, he could still hold. Oh no, the Baneling's being taken out by the tanks as well. Hyperdub in a great position right now. Nice transfuse on the Mutalisks, but ultimately not going to be enough. A Queen getting taken out. This is a disaster for Line. I feel so bad for this guy.
Yeah, he's making 18 Zerglings. That might actually be enough to hold this off if he's got something, but he's actually just going to rally into those Marines randomly and die along with another Mutalisk. The Queen goes down, no more transfusions for you Mutalisks, and this is pretty much close to the end. He's desperately just trying to pump out links, but in this situation you kind of need to hold back, wait till you have enough to deal with it, and then go in, and he's just sending them in piecemeal.
Though, coming in for Hyperdub.
That's going to seal the deal, I think.
Those tanks are going to be able to get a lot closer with their siege mode. This tank should be able to hit the hatchery. Nice Marine control with Hyperdub, by the way. Oh, creep tumor right underneath that tank. Whoops, that was a bad place to park. That tank driver like, hey, whoa. And when the drones come off the line, it means things are going bad for Line. Marines getting sieged a little bit, but there's the GG
coming from Line.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, man. That just makes you feel sick.
Exactly. I think if he hadn't misclicked those Zerglings, he would have taken that out and been on even footing, I think.
Feels so bad for Line. Obviously, he's not feeling too great after that game. Not the best start in this season in Code A for Line.
Yeah, very disappointing on his part. But
one misclick. That's such a bad misclick too. He ran all those Zerglings.
Oh my gosh! It was almost as if you want to click past, and then once your Zerglings are in amongst the units, A move. So they all attack everything around them, and he clicked past and then forgot to A move or hit the wrong button or something like that, and his Zerglings were completely slaughtered. That is really, really too bad because I think he could have taken that out if he'd gotten that A move off.
Yeah, I feel like he had enough combined with the Mutalisks. It would have been close. I mean, Hyperdub did have a lot of Marines.
Yeah.
The tanks would have been shelling them at the same time at the Zerglings. So I'd say Line would have taken that fight, but we'll never know now.
Especially seeing as how Line was able to hold out for another few minutes just with transfusions and Mutalisks and more Zerglings. Imagine if he'd actually done damage, that contain I don't think would have been nearly as viable.
Yeah, Line, unfortunately, playing really well, I thought, up to that point. One misclick, that's all it takes at this stage in the game, but the next game has started. Forget that old game. That's in the past now. Line.
That game is old-fangled.
That's an old-fangled game. That's right. That's going to be like the new thing this season.
Maybe.
It's high fives last season. Old-fangled. Let's get it going.